Thank you so much for joining us. I want to share with you a quick overview of our AI1 software for accounting under the Gate Suite. I'll just start really quickly from, this is the interface that you'll see when you first open up the software. And we have three basic modules: the GL, General Ledger obviously, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and then we also have the bank reconciliation and some other modules I'll show you in a little bit. On the GL, I'll start from that. It starts with, of course, your chart of accounts. You can either ask us to provide a simple chart of account for your business, or since we've done a lot of detailed targeted industries, we can also share with you some sample chart of accounts of the industry itself. But usually we don't normally do that because we're not an accounting firm. It's going to give you an idea of some of them. But more often than not, you can have your own chart of account, and that's great about our software. You can set your own chart of account, how you want it seen in your software, how your chart of accounts and your financial statements will be reflected in the reports. I'll jump to that for now. This is where you would set up all your descriptions for your chart of accounts. Okay, it's as simple as add, put your code structure there, whatever code. It could be 100 or 200 or 100, then -1 for a particular chart of account, and so on. And then once you set that up, you can immediately jump to your chart of account functionality. Now this is a little bit more deep. This is after you set up your company code, set up your chart of account code, and so on. As you see, there's a sample here, and from this sample, I could actually say edit just for now. From here, you can decide a particular chart of account could be either a debit or a credit, which you normally would have to do. Now, if you're implementing the software in the beginning of the year, it's a little bit easier because it's January to December. But if you are going to be a fiscal year and you're, say, March or April or whatever it's going to be till the 12 months later, you must get the beginning balances of your chart of accounts. The same thing applies for also your calendar year. Now this is a little bit more trickier, but if you're a brand new company, it's pretty straightforward. You have no beginning balance. But if you're an existing company, that's why sometimes implementations of accounting software take traditionally a little bit longer. Sometimes as little as 3 months or even a year just to implement an accounting system that some of you are familiar with ERPs of these big names and just like us. It does take time because there's a lot of moving numbers here, a lot of moving parts that we have to balance, make sure it's all accurate before you go live. Now, this also has a functionality also for budget. Okay, it's right over here, right to my left. If I click this button, budget, this is where you would set up your expense budget. It's not a revenue budget, keep that in mind. Expense budget means all your disbursements that you spend as your expenses. So, just give an example. If I click add right now, I can select, for example, a particular expense account. And you can say these are just examples I'm going to be using just for the purposes of demonstration. So let's say inventory beverage. Okay, for beverages, what is your expense for beverages? This is an example of a restaurant of purchases. So if I'm going to start in January, great. But if not, if I'm going to start, let's say, in the middle of the year, I can do it by June. Right now it's May, so the next month we're setting up in advance already. I put for the month of June the budget I would know by historical information that this system will give you eventually. Let's say, for example, 100,000 for the month of June. Okay, and then for July, your budget, let's say, is 120,000 pesos. Not pesos, 120,000. And then for August, it could be maybe 200,000 because traditionally in recorded numbers that you got, it shows that you usually spend more in August, for example. Now if I click save here, you can see this is your budget. You can see there's 100, 120, 200,000, or it could be 100,000 across the board. Now your actual over here is not something that you could edit. This is run by the disbursement functionality. So your checks, your petty cash, anything that you make payments from. Now this will be automatically filled up, and then of course the mathematics will be very simple. It subtracts your budget minus your actual, gives you your variance. So if there's a variance, meaning you have a negative or a positive, if you're positive, if you're spending too much, you're negative, you haven't spent enough, or you're saving money, which is good for you. And that's great about the budget functionality of the accounting financial system we got. Okay, now once you set this all up, you can print this. So you have your historical, your chart of accounts for auditing to make sure everything is correct before you go live. Okay, now from here, you've got your other functions here you can do. Okay, you can set up your currencies, you can set up your subsidiary. Now we also have subsidiary accounts here. On your subsidiary accounts, we have the ability in our software to have 4 subsidiary ledgers per chart of account code. Okay, so the advantage of that basically is that there's lots of ways of utilizing this. It could be, for example, you have, let's say, a certain department or a certain company. That could be a chart of account code. Depends how you define it. And then from there, you got your subsidiary could be a department within the company. Under the department, another second subsidiary could be a certain employee, and it's like you're tracking their expenses or their revenue. The employee could be another 4th level, or whatever that might be. So you could actually drill down the ability of your reporting based on how you set up your subsidiary accounts. That gives you a lot of advantage in getting better reports. So now remember, a lot of this has to be done in advance. You can't just do a lot as you're going, setting up the company. You should have a plan that will implement this. That's why when we implement with you, or we advise you to implement, is you have a kickoff meeting where you would have all the contributing parties involved, letting know what's happening. Then you have a blueprint. The blueprint allows you, when we do blueprints, we actually map out the processes of your company, and we try to match it within the software that we have there for you. So it's a more seamless implementation integration. Okay, now from here, you can actually see lots of different things. You got your accounts payable. Now this is all connected to your inventory software, what I showed you in other videos, such as your MMS, your materials management system. So, which you'll see how I've incorporated that as well. And then you've also got your accounts receivable, which is connected to your other modules as well. Your verticals, what we call your, let's say if you're servicing software, if you're a hotel software, clinic software, it doesn't really matter what it would be. We've got all of that for you already. So you don't have to get a third-party software. There's no need for any other software. But if we do have the software to connect to, we can, such as we've connected our software, even though we're give you accounting software, we've had clients who are using SAP, or they're using a third-party software such as Infor. We've had to send our data to them because they have a head office that's using SAP. The branch is using our software. That can be done also. We can send the data there, or we can send it to another third-party software that you have made in-house, or you purchased it. But if you want seamless, you want fast financial statements, you must get all of ours because it's all designed to work together. It's really designed that way. So it makes it a little bit easier for you.